So I'm here with Bob Bickel, the founder of RunSignup, and we just had our benefits meeting yesterday. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, this feels like
No, we didn't.
deja vu.
We never did this
Oh,
before.
we didn't do this
No.
before?
No,
Okay.
this isn't the second time recording this.
Okay, all right.
There was no problem with the audio.
There was
the
no
first time.
problem with the audio. Yeah, we had the benefits meeting yesterday. So a couple of things about that. So we are on a yearly cycle. So every year we kind of do everybody's review. We do all salary compensation reviews, and we get together and we go through what all the benefits are. And sometimes like health insurance changes, so you have to get all that information out to everybody. And yesterday was our yearly benefits meeting where Kevin kind of goes through all those details. Benefits are extremely important because employees are very important. And from a company perspective, just, from a corporate type of perspective, employees are important because you want them to focus on doing the work and not worrying about like healthcare. And secondly, you want to design a benefit system where people will stay around a long time, to be honest. And the reason for that is that the longer people stay, the more productive they become. And the cost of replacing somebody is very high because they have so much domain knowledge, either about how to do video recordings in only 2 takes, or in software, or customer knowledge and things like that. So we try to design our benefits like that. And from a benefits perspective, let's talk about that first before compensation and employee owned. But from a benefits perspective, the primary thing we think about is healthcare. And so we came up with this design, when we started the company. Basically, the company carries what's called a high deductible healthcare plan that basically covers everything, but it's a high deductible. And the deductible is $2,500 for the employee, $5,000 for the family. And the company covers that cost. So the employee, if they have health issues, has a maximum out of pocket of $2,500. So to help cover that, what we do is we make a $2,000 contribution to every employee in their HSA. And so then they can spend that money how they see. And so their real maximum out of pocket is only $500 a year. So it's pretty cost effective for the company because it tries to keep our healthcare costs, insurance premiums down with that high deductible. But it also makes sure that if something catastrophic happens to employee or one of their family, they're covered. So we feel good about being able to provide that to our employees. Kind of the second kind of long-term one is we have a 401k plan that's administered by Vanguard. Everybody can contribute to that. The company matches up to 4% of an employee's contribution. And we raised that last year from 3% because we were starting to do a little bit better financially and we could afford to do that. I think that that's another message to employees that, they've got a place where they can kind of build a long-term kind of vision for themselves and their families and save money and plan for retirement appropriately.
And now review season is happening here at RunSignup. You want to tell us more about that?
Yeah, so different companies do it differently. I'm a big believer in doing it on a yearly cycle for a couple of reasons. One, it makes it more efficient for everybody involved. So if a manager has, in my case, I have 10 people that I do reviews with, I get to kind of set aside time and I get to think about them kind of holistically rather than doing it, say, on their anniversary date or something like that, and then it gets interspersed with everything. So I kind of dedicate time. I put together a big sheet and I put all my notes together about each person and so forth. And basically the format that we follow, and different managers can use different formats a little bit, but basically what we're asking for the employee to do is kind of a self-evaluation first, is like what went well, what could they have done better, and then as they look towards the future, how can they get better? How can they contribute more? What do they need from the company that can help them? Might be education, might be going to a conference, something like that. And so so that's that part of the review. We also ask the employee to give feedback for the company and for the manager. And every year I ask for everybody to give me feedback. Not many people do.
Dude, there's nothing to comment on perfect, so it's like...
Good answer, Andrew.
I know raises are coming up.
Give him a raise. So, but it's meant to be kind of a 360 type of review. It's meant to be very open. It's meant to be very collaborative, and really what we're trying to do is help build people's careers. I'll take a step back before we get into the raises of the year. I'll talk about overall compensation and the philosophy of that. So, so the base is the base salary, and that gets adjusted, and we review that on a yearly basis. The second piece of compensation is bonuses. So we call it a performance bonus. It's kind of evolved over the years. It's somewhat regulated by our profitability. So if we have more profit, we can do something. So like in 2020, performance bonuses were pretty low because we just didn't have the money to give out. But performance bonuses, are meant to kind of incentivize a person and to kind of cap off their salary compensation. In addition, what we added this year is actually a profit sharing plan, like a real defined profit sharing plan, which I feel like really, really happy about. So the company over the past couple of years has stabilized and become profitable. And, our ambition is just to, kind of grow moderately and continue to run a viable, profitable business. And so what we have started is a profit sharing plan. So at the end of the year, we'll look at the profit, and then around mid-January, all employees are going to get a share of that profit. And this year, and it's a flat. We spread it like peanut butter, so everybody gets a percentage basically of their salary, and that percentage will vary based upon how profitable we are. This year, it's going to be 2%. So if you make $100, you're going to get a $2 profit sharing bonus this year.
So I just heard that you're very consistent with your peanut butter spreading.
Exactly. We don't
no lumps. Just
we don't use chunky. Although I prefer chunky, Kevin says it's better to be smooth. So I feel really happy about that. And then, the question comes down to like, well, how do we figure out how much of a raise people should get? And that's tough. It's the worst part of my job because I love everybody. I would pay everybody $1 billion, and because everybody deserves it. They do such a great job here and everything. But there's only so much money to spread around. And you don't want to spread it like peanut butter. You have to spread it, based upon performance and contributions to the company and customers and things like that, and talent level. And not everybody's equal. What we try to do is we try to find great places for everybody so everybody can feel like they're contributing and do contribute to their level of capability. And we try to improve that over time. But anyway, basically each year we do a budget planning process where we come up with how much are we going to grow next year. In 2024, we plan on growing 11%. And we go through some arguments about that, but say we're going to grow 11% next year. Out of that 11%, we have to pay for increased costs. So our cost of our sales tax system, Avalara, the cost of the free email system that we provide our customers. The cost of our healthcare is going up quite a bit this year. So all those costs. Additional incremental employees. So we have a couple of software developers that are joining us, a couple of people in customer service areas, and so that will increase costs. And then out of the rest of that, we want to allocate that as kind of like a budget for salary increases. And we have to increase the profitability marginally each year too as we move along. So so that basically then we allocate a budget to each manager, and then those managers then have that budget to allocate within their group. So they one of the nice things about doing this on a consistent yearly basis is it allows for a manager to kind of evaluate the contributions of each of the members of their team and to do adjustments. So somebody might deserve a little bit higher of an increase because they've contributed more, they've grown their career more, they've advanced from one level to the next. And when we think about that, that overall compensation that is going, the compensation budget, we have to take into account both inflation, because we want people to have a kind of a common and generally rising standard of living, and then the fact that everybody is getting a little bit better and contributing a little bit more. We are becoming more and more efficient as a company each year. So each person, either grows their career or just does a little bit more and a little bit better. So we should be a little bit ahead of inflation overall. And that's why, you have to have a growing company to be able to keep, employees satisfied. And that's why we love for our customers to share with other people to use us. It allows our company to grow and to treat our employees well. The other thing on compensation, and I think that this is something very foundational for the company, we're an employee-owned company. Less than 10% of our stock is owned by outsiders. It's actually mostly owned by a payment processing company who really they don't have a board seat or anything like that, and then two friends of mine. And that was done during the 2020 financial crisis that we had, where we brought that capital onto our structure. But it's 90% owned by employees. A bulk of that is owned by my family and myself, but a significant amount is owned by employees. And what's great about that is that employees share in the success of the company. And they're real owners. So when our customers talk to anybody at our company, they're talking to an owner of the company. And what I hope it does is it makes the employees feel very responsible for the company, to write the best software, to help customers as well as possible, to make good, sound decisions, to grow the business responsibly. And so I think it's really foundational and fundamental to how we operate, and it's a lot different than a lot of companies.